Greetings. We are in the lab. Y'all have not seen me in the lab for a long time, but we're in the lab. We're in the lab this evening. We're in the lab. I'm not in JL. I'm not in Justice League headquarters. You know, Hot 2100 Savannah. But we're here in the lab. And as always, we got our special guests on. All our guests, you know, are all special. And so we got with us Brother Hezekiah Israel in the house. My brother, how you doing? How you doing?
Doing good, sir. Doing good. Happy to be here. Humbled for the invitation. Happy to be here.
So yes, sir. We get on to the Most High. So that's what we do. We roll with it. And so now that's what we do. You know, our stuff is about this conversation. So now it's about being real, all that. So our people out there checking us out. We said to everybody that share. So this is what's going on. So, Brother Hezekiah Israel, who are you?
Okay, yes, sir. So first, I want to say hello, good evening, good afternoon, shalom to all the people who are tuning in to watch. I'm Hezekiah Israel. So I'm a part of an organization known as Israel United in Christ. So we go out in the communities and try to reconnect the people to our cultural heritage that has been systematically removed from us through education, through political ideologies. And there's a lot of history with us as a people as we've traveled across the diaspora. So from the motherland to now, that has been lost to us. That was not our intent to lose it. It was taken from us. So a part of our primary objective is to try to re-engage the people back to our culture that was taken from us so that we can come together more effectively.
See, now y'all heard me just asking, who is he? We ain't getting all that. See how he doing. I had told him don't be all esoteric right now. Who are you? Because them people, somebody might know you out there. Somebody see, because again, okay. Go ahead. Who are you?
Yes, sir. So I'll just start from the top. I'm Hezekiah Israel. That's who I am. I was born and raised in Southeast Georgia, hometown of Brunswick, Georgia. My father's side and my mother's side are both from Southeast Georgia. So I spent my entire life here. I went to Georgia Southern in college. So I lived in Statesboro for 4 years, went to Georgia Southern for college, graduated, moved back home. And me, myself, I'm a Georgia boy. That's who I am. I was born here, raised here. I like grits. I like fish. I like gravy. That's what I was born eating. That's what I was raised on. And somebody who, over the years, as I grew up, I began to want to have a care for my people and to understand how to address and solve some of the greater issues that seem to exist in our race as a culture. So then I became somebody interested in being a public orator or a speaker, or, you know, to start to learn things, read more books, become more of a historian in my own right, and then to interact with other people that are doing the same thing. So I'm just somebody who's born and raised here, who cares about the people here because I grew up with these people and trying to figure out how to solve problems that exist within our communities.
All right, y'all already heard the part. Y'all already know the part two question. Y'all know the question number two gonna come at it, and so then you know, like I have to like see. So I'm gonna do it with him. I'm put it out, y'all. I'm put it on out there right now. You know, because he went through something now. You know, he said he from Brunswick. He might be from Petersville or Needwood or something like that. You know, he might be from St. Simon. But I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna say all that. So I'm just putting that out there. So now the next question is, because again, in the Black community, in our community, we do this right here. We're gonna ask you about this, and I have some people who, some of y'all checking out the show, y'all know how it gets. They be getting all esoteric about it. Who your people, Brother Hezekiah?
Who my people? If you've ever heard of the McClendons or the Lumpkins or the Demrys, those are my people. So you got on my father's side, the McClendons and the Lumpkins. On the side of my mother, you have the Demrys and the Ways. So if you've heard of any of those families, those are my people. Father's side, mother's side. Father's side grew up in towards Macon area. Towards some of the all the small towns between Macon and Brunswick. So Macon, the Willacoochee area, the Ludowici area. So if you know any of those McClendon clans from that area, that's my father's side. And mind you, there's like 3 or 4 families with the McClendon surname. So, you know, you got to know which one I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Willie Hill McClendon, that family line. If you know that family line, that's my people.
Willie Hill where? Oh.
the Willie Hill in Brunswick, Georgia. So now there's two. There's the grandfather, the senior, and then my oldest uncle, who's the junior, who played in the NFL. So that's my family.
Okay, all right, that's what it's about. Because what happens, people check it out. People are like, oh, I know them, and then what they happen, they buy into it. They jump into it. So now we come to this right here. We're gonna hit you with this right here. It is, who inspires you? Or what inspires you? Who inspires you? Or what inspires you?
Who inspires me and what inspires me?
Or what inspires you? You know, it could be a combination thereof. So yeah.
Yes, sir. So there's several individuals that have inspired me, and the what would be the Bible, or my belief in the Bible. So I'll start with the who. Who inspires me are the men that I profess to be the teachers I'm learning under. That would be Bishop Nathaniel of Is United in Christ, all the bishops, all the deacons and captains, officers of the organization I'm a part of, but also some of my personal family members have inspired me. So my grandfather was a great inspiration for me as I was growing up. He was the outline for me of what a man should be, and that's where I carried a lot of characteristics about what I thought being a man was. It was based on my grandfather. He cared for everybody. He would take care of everybody else first and then sit down and tend to himself. So these are principles that I tried to base myself around. So my grandfather was a great, strong personal inspiration for me. And then in terms of education and teaching, I would give respect to the bishops of Is United in Christ.
All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So now we come to this. What song or songs give you that that when you hear that song, that it give that sensation, it takes you to another level? What song or songs give you that
What song or songs? Now, I'm a big fan of the great Michael Jackson. Listen, if you give me any track from him, the Essential Volume 1, Essential Volume 2, which I own, by the way, I own both volumes. And I've had the classic hits, the greatest hits, if you throw on Michael, I'll listen to Michael all day. So whether it's Bad, whether it's All Day, All Night, got me working all day and all night, whether it's anything. So these songs really help to lift my spirits, really bring good energy as far as I'm concerned. So anything, Michael, I'll be in a good mood.
All right. You all heard it. You heard it. That's what it is. So now we do this right here. Israel United in Christ. What is that? What is that?
Yes, sir. So Is United in Christ was an organization that began in the year 2003 by the Bishop Nathaniel in New York. And so since then, Is United in Christ is a Bible-based organization in which the mission statement is to reconnect so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and American Indians, the indigenous people of the land, back to what we profess is our original culture or heritage, which is as the Israelites of the Bible. We teach according to the Bible that throughout the diaspora and throughout our travels to the four corners of the earth, we've picked up, assimilated, and added other cultures on top of the base culture of being an Israelite. So we teach with the Bible and also with other history books as a reference, where you can kind of trace as we travel through the diaspora, where we would pick up certain cultures or certain ideas and we would add it on top of some of the practices we were doing from our ancient ancestors in the Bible. So there's usually a common through line with where the Israelites were to where they're at now and all the different names we've called ourselves over the years. So whether it be the Moors, whether it be the Gullah Geechee, which we profess there's a link between the two in some form or shape. And so you see there's a common theme of people who have always had a strong desire to connect to creation through a spiritual level, which is something that's in us at our core. And we believe that was placed in us by the Creator. And there's a reason why he gave us the guidelines on how to take those energies and focus those energies for the productivity of the entire earth. And so our goal as an organization is to reach those people that have been sent through the diaspora and try to reconnect them to the Creator. All
right. And so Sister Deirdre Murray, glad to have you checking us out. Sister Melody, glad to have you checking us out also. And we said everyone share. And so with regard to that, how do you see that improving the lives of African people? And I'm throwing out the right African people, African people inclusive of Latinos and people don't identify with that at times. But then how can it improve the lives of people in general also?
Right. Yes, sir. So with the term African people, which I don't think is an incorrect term, the Bible itself and the history therein started on the continent of Africa. When you open up the first few chapters of the book, you're reading about history that happened in Egypt, history that happened in Ethiopia, history that happened in Sudan. You're reading about history that started on the continent of Africa. So the continent of Africa being the motherland is the truest, correct statement you can give to any land on the planet. So what we teach is that culture came with what's in the Bible. Like, so ideologies today have adopted the Bible, but culture, which we were already familiar with, because in the beginning, this wasn't put down into words. It was something that we talked to each other orally and we passed down orally. Eventually, it became something that was written down. So these are things that not only did we learn how to teach our children, how to raise ourselves, how to conduct ourselves within a society, we also learned hygiene, we learned diet, we learned construction. We had the basis for civilization. We were the first civilizations, the oldest civilizations known to man on the continent of Africa. It's proven geographically, it's proven scientifically. This is not up for dispute. Now what we're discussing is what's the value we can learn from going back and re-examining those older civilizations and what have we lost between then and now. So we profess that we've lost that sense of identity as a group, which can bleed into a lot of different areas of society, to where if I don't see the person across from me as me, it's going to affect my ability to perform in a community, to be prepared to want to help a community, to want to improve the condition of that community. So there's a sense of self we have to get back to. And once I have that sense of self in me, I'm going to see that sense of self in you. And it allows me and you to be us. So we can put the community back in the community. Because right now we call it the hood. What happened to the neighbor? We've taken neighbor out of the word neighborhood. And so something like love your neighbor like you love yourself is going to help us put the neighbor back in neighborhood.
And with regards, again, when you talk about those connections and ties, saying family, say McClendon's, people didn't understand it. There's connections and ties. And again,
yes.
That's my neighbor, that I have a connection. So that's a part of it. I'm glad you're throwing that out there. So that's when I ask people, like, who are you? It's for you to throw out there. And so people begin to also hear about that person, but then also I say, who are your people? Because now it helps bring back. When we talk about the neighborhood, and now you have that respect for that person. So now there's that tie. And I'm going to tell people, it's not that tie to your humanity, but also I'm going to tell to your Africanity. That now
yes.
And I just left some people, and I discussed that. I said that understanding that greatness, we look afar to see greatness, but not understand greatness is right around you. When you say your grandfather, that's a role model. Greatness right there. I said, but any people, you got to start within, then you go out. You take care of self first and admire yourself and understand that. And something people know, we talk about, and I share this, some proximity bias. We look and we see Jay-Z, but we don't see the person that's right there with us, on Newcastle. We don't see, look at that person on Gloucester. That person going to look at that when, bam, they got the same thing. We talk about MJ, Michael Jordan, but not understanding. You got that person right there who went to, places right down there. When we look at these soccer teams that are down in Glen County, all that, they're all right there in our world as greatness that sometimes we dismiss, and we look at Atlanta, looking at soccer teams in Atlanta. No, not within. And so you threw some things out there, and because we want to delve into some other things, but I say this right here. We had to be put in captivity to learn about Jesus, brother. What you talking about?
Now, I would push back on that and say we knew about Jesus before captivity. What's happened is our understanding of Jesus was altered forcibly in captivity. But we were the ones, Jesus is an ethnic Jew. When you look up the history of that land, the oldest people in that land were always a dark-skinned people or a darker-skinned people, and it's on the continent of Africa. So the ethnic we're talking about is a dark-skinned group of people. And he's described in the Bible as having woolly hair. He's described in the Bible as having dark skin. So how is it that we are the people who have woolly hair and dark skin, but we're the ones that had to be taught Jesus? No, it was actually the opposite. Once we started to spread the fame of Jesus Christ, who's one of a group of men, and not only men, but in our history, when you look through, we had some of the women who would choose to stand up in a way to further the community. When you read the scripture, it's not just men that stood up for their community, it's also women, right? So Jesus Christ happens to be the most famous one that we attribute a lot of the effort to, according to what the Bible writes are the prophecies. But we always knew about the Bible before it was reintroduced to us in slavery. And if I can read one thing for you in the book of Acts, chapter 13, verse 1, when the church started to propagate, we were the teachers in the church. We were the teachers. What happens is his story is, it's not very often that somebody who gets into conflict and loses the conflict, they get the authority to write how the conflict went. And what happened was we got into a fight and we lost that fight. And a part of what we lost in that fight was the ability to control the information, to make sure the information stayed true and accurate. So now the people that overcame us, and I say in quotations overcame us, because we're playing a complicit part in them overcoming us. As soon as we start to stand back together, there is no way to overcome us without us agreeing to be overcame in a certain extent. So as soon as we start saying, hey, listen, we don't have to accept their interpretation of history. We can read now. We can go to a library. We can do our own studying. We can read, we can research, and we can say, listen, here's the dots that I find to be true. Here's the history I'm familiar with. Here's what my family told me about our background. And here's the through line that we find to be correct. Can we read that real quick in the book of Acts?
The book of Acts, chapter 13 and verse 1.
So this is after the life and death of Jesus the Christ. And now the church, or the mission of the church, is being undertook by the disciples. Read.
Now there were in the church that was at Antioch.
So the church in Antioch, right? So that area known as the Middle East, that's a term that was created recently. If that's the Middle East, where's the Middle West? Where's the Middle South? Where's the Middle North? It's a term designed to, in our mind, detach that area and the history of that area from Africa. A common theme is detach that area from Africa, but you cannot do it. You can't do it geographically. There's not a sword you can use to cut that area off from Africa. You can walk into Africa from that area, but information-wise, you can condition people to not consider that Africa, where it's not Asia and it's not Europe, so it has to be Africa. Read.
Certain prophets and teachers.
Certain prophets and teachers. Read.
As Barnabas
and
Simeon. That was called Niger.
That word can also be pronounced nigger. I'm not trying to offend anybody. In the Latin tongue, it means black. So one of the teachers of the church was known as Simeon the Black. He was known as Simeon the Black, not because he was sad in an esoteric way. It's because he was very dark-skinned in appearance. I grew up with a guy in Brunswick. I went to high school with him. We called him Black as a nickname. That's how we knew him, because he was extraordinarily dark. So we just called him Black. The same thing happened here. This is a book about our people. Calling each other by an alias or another name is not something new on the earth. We've always done that. So here, one of the earliest teachers of the church, propagating the church throughout Africa, was known as Simeon the Black. That was in regards to his dark-skinned appearance, because we were the first teachers in the church.
All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break right now. But some of y'all realizing that he's going to say that N-word. See, he don't want to go say, we're going to say Nigeria or something like that. See, he ain't want to go there. And so, yeah. So when they try to come at me and try and hit me with say, he said the N-word, like, yo, see, because again, but that's what happened when they from Glenn County. They be doing stuff like that in Glenn County. You don't understand. This Carolina and Georgia right here. But anyway, that's what deal is. And then he wants somebody to read something. They better be right. I better be able to see them. But anyway, we're gonna take a break right now. We got Brother Hezekiah Israel with us, and so we're gonna be right back. This is Run Tell That. We say share, share, share. Glad to have y'all supporting us as always. Share, share, share.
Hey, Fort Wentworth, Savannah, Georgia, surrounding counties. don't know if y'all know, but y'all got a good man that's trying to do good things for y'all city. Mr. Rufus Bright. Y'all need to go ahead and re-elect him because he's already been in office. But I don't know if y'all know all the good things and wonderful things he's been doing for the city. I don't know if y'all know who I am, but I'm Big Bro Dre. This is the Pound First production. You know what I mean? I want to let y'all know that this has been brought to you by the committee to elect Rufus Bright for City Council of Port Wentworth in Savannah, Georgia. But y'all need to tap in and tune in. You know what I mean? And keep following him and vote for him. Get out to those polls. You know what I'm saying? Get ready. You know what I mean? Don't hold back. Don't sit there and waste no time. Run to them polls and make sure you go and run and vote for Mr. Rufus Bright.
Vote for Rufus Bright. Vote for Rufus Bright. Vote for Rufus Bright. Vote for Rufus Bright. You want to see some brighter days? Vote for Rufus Bright. You want somebody who knows the way? Vote for Rufus Bright.
Need your garments cleaned with care and with a professional touch? Then bring them to One Price Cleaners in Garden City at the Old Farmers Market on Highway 80. Service you can count on.
And we're back. Run, tell that. We got brother Hezekiah Israel with us, and we say support all of our supporters. Kim's Cafe located at 714 MLK Junior Boulevard. And so again, and check out hot2100savannah.com. Yo, we're on your Apple app, your Joy app. We're on your desktop, your laptop, your tabletop even, and your tablet and your pad and all of that. And check out Julius and Jabal in the morning on Saturday mornings from 8 to 10 on Hot 100 Savannah. And y'all can go and hit them up and let them know who's your favorite personality. Jamal Teray on Hot 100 Savannah. Bam, we back, my brother. All right, so we back. And so we move forward on some things. And so you had said things again for people to understand that even people talk about languages,
right?
And there's languages that fall within. They have a category that they fall within. They call them Afro-Asiatic. So what I hit with when they call them, label them Afro-Asiatic, they're making sure the African part comes first. Which, of course, some of y'all know I discussed the first time that people speak on this planet come off of the African continent. So that's just one thing. Yes. So we go to this right here, that there are some languages like Sabian, there's Aramaic, there's Ethiopic. I'm going to Ethiopic. It is some other languages like Hebrew that they also say Afro-Asiatic. So when people think about that, they think about not the African elements of it and go back and avoid themselves of it. So that's why I threw that out there to you. Some of you may be aware of, some of y'all might recall that there was this minister who's a state representative down in Jacksonville, Florida, in Duval.
Not far from Brunswick.
Yeah, not far.
Runs right between both of us. And she went and said, thank good for captivity because we learned about Jesus. She's a minister and also state representative. And I tell people about that insanity. That even with regards to that, when we talk about this, you have language that is coming from the African continent or having an African tie, but it is ignored and people don't celebrate and understand the trueness of our story. And so we got Roz Lazarus in the house. He put some emojis up. And so now he want to go the Canaanite with regard to Cush and all that, label Mesopotamia. So that because when I saw it, I said I knew he was going to go there. So my brother, Roz, I'm going to say like this. Lazarus just like you. You're just trying to take over and try to run some stuff and have people going and stuff. But that's what happened. You got people they own you like that. So, because another part of scripture also, you have that when we talk about Lazarus put it out there, Cush, you elaborate regard to Kush. What Kush is about? Is that Kush that
Yes.
people smoke?
Yes, sir.
That,
Yes.
I had asked him a question. See, I said, is that Kush that people smoke? Or that's
Oh,
something
no. People smoke.
Right. Yeah.
Not at all. If I may, if we can read in the book of Acts again, Acts 8 and 27. Now, according to biblical scholarship, Cush also equates to Ethiopia, which is, when you talk about Canaanite and the land of Canaan, they owned a large swath of that land that's attached to northeastern Africa and what's now known as the Middle East. So Ethiopia, at least ancient Ethiopia, falls within that land that they owned, right? So Cush equates to Ethiopia in the scriptures. Can we read Acts 8 and 27?
The book of Acts, chapter 8 and verse 27.
What we focus on is the connection between the Bible and the continent of Africa. It is irrefutable. You cannot get away from it. Read this right here in Acts.
And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia.
A man of who?
Of Ethiopia.
A man of Ethiopia. Read.
And eunuch of great authority.
Of great authority. In order to be of great authority, he's coming from a society that has economics. They've got trade. They've got commerce. Otherwise, what authority would he have? He had rulership to some extent. Read.
Under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians.
Under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians. So there's royalty there. There's heritage. There's history there. What was this Ethiopian doing in Jerusalem? Read.
Who had the charge of all her treasure.
Come on.
And had come to Jerusalem for to worship.
He come to Jerusalem to do what?
To worship.
So he came from Ethiopia to Jerusalem to worship. Where did he learn the concept of going to Jerusalem to participate in any level of worship? This is long before we were so-called conquered and colonized by European society. We had this information first, and we can read people coming from several parts of Africa, further in Africa, further down south in Africa, and even towards Asia, who would come to Jerusalem to worship. Well, where did they learn that from? They learned it from their ancient ancestors who, through the different exiles that happened with us leaving the land and coming back to the land, not all of us always came back to the land. Some of us come back to Jerusalem, and some of us would stay in Turkey. Some of us came back to Jerusalem. Some of us stayed in Ethiopia. Some of us came back to Jerusalem. Some of us stayed in Egypt. But we knew we had a cultural tie to Jerusalem, even though we weren't physically in Jerusalem. This is why this Ethiopian would even know to come to Jerusalem to worship. Well, what was in Jerusalem? The temple of God. Well, how would he know to come there and worship? It was something he had to already know culturally, right? So I'm gonna do this right here. You just been violating stuff. So he reading, he ain't on camera. You've been violating stuff. So now, this what happened. They try to bully me all the time, and they know I don't let that go on. But that's what it is. But see, I see y'all see I've been being cool. I've been chilling. So, but they be trying to bring it all out of me. I said, and I'm just trying to get to the very end. But anyway, I want you to go and do this right here because yes,
I think many of you need to hear what he said again. Because I want him to repeat when you talked about pretty much like some. I'm going to say like some of the exegesis that happened. Now people left, people came back. Can you go back and articulate that point again? Because I want people out there checking this out to understand, because that is a part of what we're doing right now with a group of people right now who you now have basically given up your birthright to. You act like you are, like you ain't got no ties to it, and you elevate and hold them up, and that's part of the issue. But go ahead, can you go back and talk about how some people left, some came back, some never, some continue on, on up in Europe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, so we'll read earlier in the book of Acts in chapter 2, and we'll name the specific countries. And this is not an entire list or an exhaustive list, but this is a great sample size for us to see. People left, and some people left and decided to set up shop where they arrived at. Some people decided to go back. It's not wrong either way. So now we have an explanation for it. Listen, this goes further than what we were originally taught. Like, it was not just that specific area. We carried God with us. God was not just attached to that area. We carried God with us. Acts chapter 2 and verse 5, please.
The book of Acts chapter 2 and verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews.
So, of course, everybody's going to agree the people that lived in Jerusalem predominantly identified as Jews, right?
Devout men out of every nation under heaven.
But they came out of every nation under heaven, meaning those same people whose ancestors might have been exiled, some of them decided to move back, or they would come back periodically to visit, right? So now we're going to get specific lands and areas they were coming from. Jump to verse 8.
Verse 8.
Yes, sir.
And how we, every man in our own tongue, wherein we were born.
Now, when they came to Jerusalem, it was to keep the biblical feast of Pentecost. And when this happened, God allowed a miracle to happen where everybody understood each other's tongue without being fluid in that tongue. So now they're discussing what happened. How can we understand every man who's speaking the language where they were born? So the people we're talking about weren't born in Jerusalem, but they were coming back to visit Jerusalem. Now he's going to tell us where they were born. So now we know their families at one time had a tie to Jerusalem, but left and set up shop somewhere else. So where were their families at? Keep reading.
Parthians
And
Medes.
Medes. That's East India. Read.
And Elamites.
East India.
And the dwellers in Mesopotamia.
That's the fertile area, the crescent. Read.
And in Judea.
In the outside areas of Jerusalem.
And Cappadocia.
The islands outside Jerusalem. When you get to the Greek Isles, read.
In Pontus. And Asia.
And even further into Asia. Now, at that point, Asia would have been like Turkey Minor, so on and so forth. When you look at older maps where people started to move from Africa and then into Asia, like the doctor mentioned earlier, when they call it Afro-Asian, because these things started in Africa and eventually started to migrate everywhere else. So now Asia gets attached to it, but Asia's not first for a reason. Afro comes first in that term because the African part of it was first. Keep reading.
Phrygia. And
Pamphylia, read.
In Egypt. And in the parts of Libya. About Cyrene. And strangers of Rome.
Rome is going into Europe. So we had families that went to what we now call as Europe, set up shop there first, and then would come back to visit Jerusalem. This was our people in that land first. Even when you go to certain historical texts that go over what the word Anglo-Saxon means. Anglo-Saxon can be translated to angelic children of Isaac, because we still knew where our ancient ancestors were. So we say Anglo-Saxon. Now, the culture vulture of the earth will come into your land. He will do war against you, and he will usurp you, and then he will assume your identity. So now we attach the word Anglo-Saxon to them, but it was really on us first. And there's a history book by, who's the author? J.A. Rogers. Colored History Knows No Color Line, I believe is the title. And it shows all the crest in ancient Europe of the royal families that had black faces on the family crest, because we were all throughout that land first. But that's not what's commonly taught in history. You're taught, or I was taught, well, I'll speak for myself. I was taught we were in Africa, we were on vines, we were swinging around, we didn't have civilization, and that's not true. We taught civilization to other people as we encountered them in our travels. We're the ones that expanded civilization, cleaning, irrigation, plumbing. There are history books that substantiate this. We carry that with us and taught everybody else as we engage with them. So here in Acts 2, you get a short list. It's not a complete list, but some of the areas where we started to expand out at the beginning of the turn of the millennium.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for many of us, again, we appreciate all of y'all checking us out. And again, we said everybody share. And again, we got with the brother Hezekiah Israel in the house with us. And so he has said something. And that said that with regard to the Most High, the Creator, that it was able to have the people, even though they spoke different languages, to still one another, to understand one another. Right. So some of y'all listening, when we had said Afro-Asiatic, and so I got to do this. I got to go back in time and say something, because you brought something up. I got to say, Dr. Chancellor Williams wrote Destruction of Black Civilization. Dr. Chancellor Williams said that classic work. But he also discussed about why sometimes Black folks mistreat other Black folks. He said because when they see another Black person, because one, they see nothing in themselves. And so They see nothing in that other person. So when they call something to that person, they doing nothing. They doing something to nothing. So it doesn't matter. So Dr. Chancellor Williams said that decades ago, the late, great Dr. Chancellor Williams, people have some issues with him because he has his position on some things with regards to certain groups of people. So, but again, Dr. Chancellor Williams, but then also Dr. Shea Antajoke, who's had the influence of African people, had the greatest influence of African people. He and Dr. W.B. Du that he want to show that there's a cultural unity with regards to Africa. That again, when we talk about some things from East Africa, East West Africa, so why did I say all of that? Going right back to his point. Guess what? You go to some people, they say, Assalamu alaikum. Guess what? Some other people, they say, Shalom alaikum.
Right. Yes. 100%. Yes.
Right there. So right there, even though one language may be called Arabic, another one may be called Hebrew, another language may be called Aramaic.
Right. Right.
Even though they have different languages, when you begin to understand, I'm just saying, throwing it out with regards to the scripture, that we understand that. Yeah, they have different languages, but then the cultural unity of the language. So that's why people say salam, some say shalom, and so that's shalom. So again, that's what the deal is. And so we throw it out there, say those points with regards to that. And so we thank all y'all checking out the show, and also with regards to the commentary that some of y'all putting out there. That's what this is about. So now I gotta do this right here. And Brother Shagari, we got you right there. We got you, brother. I was gonna wait to do this, but I need to do this right now because we're gonna go to a break right now. So we're gonna delve into some of this a little bit more, and there's some points I want to bring up, but I can't just bring it up right now. But we're gonna go to another break. This is Run Tell that with Brother Hezekiah Israel in the house with us, right in the house, and so but we're gonna get into some other things at the end of it that I'm gonna have to address with him. Yeah, I'm just waiting. Okay. It's a banger. It's a banger for him.
Savannah, are you looking for some of the best Southern soul food? Then check out Kim's Cafe at 714 MLK Boulevard. The food is so good, you'll think that your mother cooked it. Located in the heart of Savannah, Kim's has a menu that includes breakfast anytime, lunch when you need it, and dinner so you won't have to cook when you get home. They also cater all types of events and can host your reserved event at the restaurant. Come see what everyone has been raving about. Great food, great atmosphere, and a great time. Kim's Cafe, 714 MLK Boulevard in beautiful downtown Savannah.
We're back. And again, we have with us Brother Hezekiah Israel with us. And we're going to say this. Check out and support all our sponsors and our people who support us. And one of them, Hot2100Savannah.com. They go to QR code right there. You can hit it up and you can check us out. There's this ridiculous show that's called Hot Grits in the Morning with the Crash Dummies. I think it should be called Hot Fish in the Morning with the Crash Out Crew, but they don't want to listen to me. They come on Wednesday and Friday from 6 until 10. And so you got Lady Lynn Roberts who come on doing, Southern flavor in the midday. I had said Southern fish in the midday and Southern flavors and all that. That's what I had said, but they don't want to listen to me. But again, they don't listen to me. I don't sweat it because I know I'm an angel. They don't want to listen to me. But anyway, we're back, my brother. And so what we come down to this right here. We have people who go and say that we were always these African people were always here in North America. In North America. Discount. They say that it is fictitious. It is not true. It is a lie to say that our ancestors came from the continent that we are talking about. These continents that we're talking about in particular, we call it Akibo land, Tamari, Tarseti, Tamatur, any of that again, they're going to say is false. What do you say with regards to that, my brother?
Yes, sir. So to the first half of the statement, it is true. We are indigenous to this land. We were the oldest people and first people on this land. That's can we get that in the book of Lamentations, chapter 5? And I'll jump to the point. I'll keep it real quick. We were here originally. We're the ones that taught the so-called pilgrims how to even survive off the land. Those are our ancestors. When you look at some of the ancient texts, some of the pictures, some of the art of the people, how they depicted themselves, even the statues of what we now call the Olmec people. When you look at the statues, these are big, dark-faced statues with wide-set noses and more full, round lips. Well, who do you think was being depicted in that statue? Clearly, the sculptor had an idea or something to work with. He was sculpting, him or her was sculpting their people. Now, it's through intermingling that our shades have come across a whole palette. But originally, we were all darker. We were the first people. So we were the first people not only in Africa, but the first people anywhere on this globe, because we were the preeminent explorers. We were the preeminent minds. We were the preeminent forethinkers. It was us. It was always us. We've always been trendsetters. That's not just something we do now because we can sing and dance and rap. We've always been the trendsetters, not just for entertainment, but for food, for thought, for clothing, for style, for intellect, and for wisdom. We were always the first of everything. Read what we got in the book of Lamentations. And this is interesting because now we have this topic happening in society politically. Who's an illegal immigrant? Who's an alien? Who's this? Who's that? But the people who are in a position to determine illegal or immigrant are the illegals and the immigrants. They violated over 400 treaties with the indigenous people. They didn't keep not one. Read what you got.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 5 and verse 1. Remember, O Lord, what has come upon us.
Come on.
Consider and behold our reproach.
Our correction. Read.
Our inheritance is turned to strength.
Inheritance is land. The only real inheritance on this earth is land. And land is what you pass down to your people. Land is how you build. You build on it. You live on it. You grow your food on it. You manage your livestock on it. If you don't have land, you don't have much of anything. You have to go to somebody else who does have land and try to deal with them. So land is the only real inheritance on this earth. Everything comes from land. Read.
Our houses to aliens.
It says our houses have been sold or taken over by aliens. We don't call them aliens in history. Although the scripture calls them aliens, we'll call them colonizers. We'll call them oppressors. During slavery, they were known as slave masters or the ruling class, the elite. All these terms that make it sound more comfortable and accepting than what it was. It was an invading force coming in, dominating the people that opened their hearts to help them, and then tried to usurp them, take it over, act like it's their land now. And so, yes, our people were here first. Talking to your first point, we were here first. To the second point, the history of slavery and transatlantic slave ships. There is history still being found. I believe in the early 2010s, they found the remains of a slave ship in the Gulf of Mexico, or is it the Gulf of America now? In that Gulf, they found the remains of a slave ship. And a lot of the slave ships were repurposed back into cargo ships once emancipation happened in 1864, 1865. These ships were slave cargo ships, and then they were repurposed back to cargo ships as much or as often as they could be used for that reason alone. But to make a reference, the Nation of Islam, Farrakhan, actually, they released 2 books, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. And in those books and the research they did, which is excellent research, by the way, I actually own those 2 copies of those books. They show proof, financial ties to so-called Jewish community as the financiers of the transatlantic slave trade, where they held a lot of stocks, bonds, they financed the ships, they financed all the trips. The Nation of Islam did 2 excellent books, and they did exhaustive study. All the information they pulled for those books was pulled from only Jewish sources. So they didn't go outside of the Jewish community itself to prove those connections. So to say it didn't happen, it means we're not looking in the right direction. There are books, there are other people that have done the legwork for us, and we can prove with records that other people are keeping that slavery did happen and somebody was the beneficiary of that slavery.
Well, what happened right now, we have the internet.
Yes.
We have the internet, and so you have oodles and oodles of people who are in the great denial. So now I'll bring this up, and I shared it when Zohar had me down. When they were trying to put me where the dog go and defecate at and urinate at, and have me go do an interview. They try because I'm down there on the square all the time, so I know what's happening down there. They gonna come at me like I'm a newbie, like I'm just like, yeah, I'm looking at him like, yo. But anyway, we had the conversation, and that I'm like saying, yo, check this out. We have people around, we have organizations, we have entities that go and talk about how much pride they have with regards to being, African and being Black. And they talk about that. I tell folks, but we have to understand, we got to use our minds out and not understand that when some of them are talking about this, they still have elements of self-hatred in them. Because if anything, just like we talk about, I go and say the Exodus, when we see it out of Africa going around the world, that with some places that there's some exodus that will occur, that some people will not come back home, which we got that. But then guess what? There's also some destruction that will happen to some people that no longer exist.
Right. Yes.
People that went through something that at this point in world history, again, this is world history. This is history of all nations pretty much on this continent, on this planet, that you have a group of people that survived the horrors of the Maafa, the great disaster, the Black Holocaust. Guess what? You survived it. Your ancestors survived it. That means that's in the pinky of your DNA how you survive. Even when we plant certain things, when we plant things at Promised Land Farm, we understand that those things that are drought resistant, that can handle the drought, we replant those things from them, the seeds from them, because they show that the stuff to survive.
Yes. 100%.
So people around here on the internet who talk about and create these organizations that say that Africans, we were not brought over here, we were always here. I'm like, stop with that insanity, because that's an aspect of self-hatred. And some of y'all guys, Jamal, yes, it is called self-hatred. You think because somebody might have the jewelry, somebody might have the name, somebody might have the hair, somebody might wear the clothing, somebody might have the religion, you think that they're down. No, it's not. Their minds are still colonized. Their minds are still that they're showing you a little something that they got a little whiff of, that they know more than you. So I throw it on out there. I throw it out there, say it's called self-hatred. I say it's how do you address those type of groups and those entities like that?
Right. So there's a book. It was written by Dr. Joy DeGruy, and it's titled, I believe the title is Post-Traumatic Slave Disorder. And she goes into such a traumatic event is ingrained in our genes, like you mentioned. That trauma is actually ingrained in us on a DNA level, right? Can we read the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6? Only one group of people would have had the strength of character, the strength of spirit, the strength of body, mind, and soul to survive the horrors of the worst Holocaust ever. I don't want to hear 6 million over here and 12 million over there, when I can read 100 and 200 million of my people's history, and that's not being accounted for, it's not being compensated for, it's even being lied about in the school system. When you have CRT and this history is being taken out, and the history that was in the school system was already diluted, but now the diluted history was too much for the descendants of the ones that committed the atrocity. So now we're all having to abide by the history being removed, the diluted history being removed. But back to the book that was done by the doctor, she goes into that about the generational effects of going through something like chattel slavery. It inbreeds a deep level of self-hatred, like you mentioned. And this self-hatred is so subconscious that until somebody brings it to your attention and you sit down and engage with it, you have no idea you were dealing with self-hatred. It just becomes something you do. It's a pattern of habit, right? Read Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6, please.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6.
Come on.
For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God.
The Lord thy God says we're a holy people. To go through chattel slavery, but still have the strength to sing things like, we shall overcome, swing low, sweet chariot. Who can sing a song while your backs are being whipped out for the empowerment of somebody else? What's in you that you can still find the ability while being oppressed to still get up and find any reason to smile about anything? So when the Lord says we're stronger than other people, it's not just a physical strength. It's easy to go to the NBA and the NFL and all the professional sports and to understand that we're physically stronger. But what we always overlook is we're mentally stronger and spiritually stronger because of what we had to experience as a race. And how you mentioned the crops that survived the drought, you make sure to take those seeds and make sure the next round of crops come from those seeds because they've shown that strength and resilience, right? Read what you got.
The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people.
So we were chosen to be special. Read.
Unto himself.
Come on.
Above all people.
Above all people. Read.
That are upon the face of the earth.
So no matter what other group of people, when you look through their history and you compare how they currently reside on the earth now, if they had to switch roles with us, they would not exist in 2025 the way we still exist. There's a comedian, I believe it was Chris Rock. I might be quoting the wrong comedian. He made a joke about nobody wants to switch places with us. And he used himself as an example. As a rich comedian, a poor white man would still not switch places with him because you'd have to experience life as a black man. No other race has to deal with what we deal with. And now you see the term being used today called black fatigue. And certain groups are using it wrong. Black fatigue is the fatigue on us to have to underperform and make other people feel okay with our excellence. And now we have to downplay ourselves. That's what black fatigue really is. We're tired of having to put on like we ain't the best of the best.
See now they taking my stuff. I talk about the best of the best. That's what I be talking about. See, that's what I be talking about. But anyway, this is family. We split the stuff out. We put out, we cast the seeds out. But that's it. And so now we coming down to our last 3.5 minutes.
Yes, sir.
We're coming down to the last 3.5 minutes. And you said something I got thrown on out there. That again,
yes,
you talk about black fatigue, how we have to underperform or we have to defer and let somebody else think that they're greater and better. It's not only that, and I'm throwing that element out there, but it also now goes when people now come this other concept of this thing called imposter syndrome. That you have black folks thinking that they're imposters, that they're in the environment. No, it's not. They've gotten into your head. They've gotten to the head of the elephants for them to think that they're mosquitoes. And so you know that, so they are imposters. No, it's not, fool. You are the most dominant thing of all on this planet.
Right,
so that's
right.
The black fatigue, they get it wrong. And even this thing, imposter syndrome. If you are in that space, you are supposed to be in that space. So what I'm gonna give you 2 minutes just to go share people how they can get in touch with you and what you want to see for our people. Now I'm gonna give you 2 minutes now.
Yes, sir. I'll make it real quick. Read Luke chapter 17, verse 10 real quick. How you can contact us. Our website is www.israelunite.org. There's a directory on the website where you can contact us. We have locations or sanctuaries on all 6 continents where people live. The only place we don't have a sanctuary is Antarctica. But if we find evidence that so-called black people have been spread to Antarctica, we're coming down there. Right. So what we want our people to know is, like the doctor was saying, greatness is within us. We've been taught to not see ourselves as elephants, but to see ourselves as mosquitoes. Read what you got real quick.
Luke chapter 17 and verse 10.
Come on.
So likewise ye, when you shall have done all those things which are commanded you, say, we are unprofitable servants.
So when we've done what the Lord requires us to do, which is to come back and repent, that's the minimum. That's the bare floor. So as a people, we got to acknowledge our own shortcomings with looking in the mirror and having poor self-image. We have to repent of that. Having poor self-image of yourself when God chose you as his chosen people, that's a sin. You're supposed to think of yourself highly, and we've been trained to think of ourselves lowly. So that's what I want to leave the people with.
That's it. And that's why I tell people, you're not ordinary, you're extraordinary. And for you to be here, I tell people divine purposes. Each one of us have divine purposes in our lives, not just one, several. And so now I'm going to come down to the most important question of our show. Most important question of our show. I've asked you other questions, but this is the most important one. And we absolutely demand that you get it correct. Everyone comes on. We want everybody to get it correct. And Roz Lazarus, I'm gonna see if he get it correct. Because again, I got a sense that it's a little thing. He caught up into that funny stuff, that that little jealousy, envy stuff. So, my brother Hezekiah Israel, what is the best high school in the state of Georgia or the entire United States? Go ahead.
The best high school in the state of Georgia. And he's gonna make me answer the question. He's gonna make me answer the question. The best high school in the state of Georgia is the great Glenn Academy, the Mighty Tigers in Brunswick, Georgia. He gonna make me answer the question like I'm not gonna say in my alma mater.
That what I knew. That what. See, that's the foolishness I'm talking about. Lazarus. That's right. Lazarus. That's right. Jamal Teray Rosa, HBJ. That's right. Lazarus. You see what he did, right? He went and spat out the red terrors, the cheating red terrors, the cheating red terrors of Glenn Academy, the cheating red terrors. I'm gonna say cheating red terrors.
All allegations.
Wow. Chigari, Groves ain't see Chigari. Don't come on here spreading lies of propaganda just like him. You know what? Fine. And thank you, Lazarus. This is not from me. It did not come from me. Roz Lazarus. You wrong.
Oh man. Oh God. I'm outvoted.
See again, Lazarus said, but again, it's also that you all know it is called Heavens B. Jenkins High School. HBJ's Heavens B. Jenkins High School. God is the first of HBJ. God is the first one. God didn't even go to Glenn Academy. God
the same Jenkins High School that we beat when I was in school, and we beat them on the football field. Is that the same Jenkins?
You cheated. That's why I keep saying you don't want to listen. I had said you cheated. We all know about that. I've been down in Brunswick on that same field in Glenn Academy and got cheated out there. So I'm just letting it be known. That's what the deal is. This is Run Tell That. He got it wrong. We'll probably have him back on. He might get it right next time. So we say check out all our shows on Our Black Media. Check out Hot2100Savannah.com. Check out our shows because again, we represent, and again, check them out. The word is out there. So we say to all y'all, peace and blessings, and we'll see y'all next week. And also Run Tell That, tell the word, let the word be known. And so we signing out right now. Glad to have you, brother.
Thank you. Glad to be on.
Get it right next time, though.
Oh man.
I forgot he's from Brunswick. Peace and blessings.